Welcome back, everybody, to a brand new episode of Over the Top Talk. I'm your host, Owen, and on today's interview, I'm going to be bringing on a guy that has fought in a lot of different promotions. He's sitting at 10-2 right now with a most recent win at the PFL promotion. Meet Tom Pags. How are you doing today, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Like I said, I appreciate you coming on. I love interviewing the Massachusetts resident fighters. Um, do you want to start by telling the people a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Yeah, I'm from Haverhill, Mass. Fighter of the New England Cartel. Uh, Started doing MMA and fighting in like 2017 was my first Sammy fight. Went pro in 2021. Lifelong wrestler. Fell in love with the striking, and now I'm knocking people out.
And as that when you just had more recently, I noticed you kind of on your Instagram post, at least, you said, y- you could have done way better in that fight. With it being a first round KO, what do you think you could have improved on in that fight?
A lot of things. I think I just was a little too excited, and I was just trying too much. I was pushing a pretty crazy pace, um, which I normally do, but I was just being a little reckless with my exits and kind of overextended on my punches and got myself tagged a couple times. I never really got hurt, but I'm picky with my performances. At the end of the day, it was just a tough opponent, tough fight, and I got him out of there in one round. He'd never been knocked out or TKO'd before, so I was the first person to do that. But I definitely got hit a few times and don't want that happening as frequently. So sorry, light just died. But yeah, just a little cleaner on my exits, I guess, and not forcing as many shots.
And how did it feel kind of being on like an ESPN type of promotion or show?
Yeah, it was awesome, man. The production was like a whole nother level. Um, just little added pressure, I guess, in the sense of like everyone is tuning in back home and yeah, the lights are just a little brighter. Big promotion, big opportunity. I've heard a lot of guys say like, they're kind of like a shell of themselves the first time they've experienced that, and I didn't feel that at all. It all felt like right, and I was just like super excited to be there. And I think going back to the things I could have done better, I think maybe that was a little part of it. I was just like so excited to be competing at that level because it's what I wanted to do for my whole career. And but yeah, it was an incredible experience, man. It's definitely like life changing for me. I'm definitely my following's going up a little bit after that one, and just what it did for my confidence going forward was huge.
And is fighting like your full time thing? I know some fighters have like a secondary job they have. Is fighting like your only career, I guess I should say?
Yeah, yeah, I've been fighting full time since I really got into it, man. I had a couple jobs. I was an amateur. I did my whole amateur career while I was in college, but then I graduated during the pandemic in 2020 from college, and I started training with like Tyson Chartier, Calvin Cater, Rob Font, and those guys, and it was just three or four of us and making do with training how we could. And I couldn't get work, right? Because of the pandemic, it was hard to find a job. So I just went into training full time, and that's how it's been since. So yeah, this is all I do. I teach private lessons and stuff, but like I don't have like a 9 to 5.
And obviously, you just mentioned some of the Massachusetts UFC fighters. How much have they helped you kind of improve as a fighter?
A ton, you know what I mean? It's just like I got to watch a lot of their career unfold at the highest level, and learned a lot on how to get there, how to carry yourself when you're there, and how to really train the right way as a true professional. Um, and now I even better. Like at first it was just following everything they did, but now I'm learning like what I need to do for myself, and I'm learning how to be a little more independent instead of always relying on these guys to like kind of show me the way. It's like I'm experienced enough now and have gained enough knowledge from these guys. Like I'm real independent now, and can kind of pass that knowledge down to other guys too.
Great. And what would you say is maybe your favorite part about the sport of like fighting?
Um, Winning's pretty cool. But no, I'd say just training in general. Like I just love the sport itself. I think that's why I'm having the success I'm having is just because I love it. I love every part of it. I love competing. I'm a lifelong competitor with wrestling and stuff, and I just love the preparation for competition. I embrace that, man. Training as you can get, right? That's fun for me, and yeah, I say just competing in itself. That's my favorite part of the sport of fighting.
And once you have an opponent, you're in fight camp. Would you say your training kind of changes based on the opponent you're fighting?
To a degree, yes, we're gonna like focus on maybe some tendencies that they have, or maybe some defensive triggers that we need to build in. Like for this kid, for example, like we knew he's a black belt in jujitsu. He was probably gonna try and get me to the ground if he could, and we knew he had a good kicking game, so we just added in some things for that. But in terms, you just address them. You don't want to obsess on them, right? Because then you're not going to do what you want to do. You're going to be too worried about what they're going to do. So we just address those things, and you turn up the intensity a little bit when you're in camp. But as far as my training schedule goes, it's the exact same. I'm in the gym Monday through Saturday every day, twice a day most of the time, and yeah, not much changes in terms of schedule, just intensity.
And obviously, with this sport and the stress of maybe having to win, how do you kind of handle the stress of going in there, potentially losing? How do you kind of handle all the stress that might come upon you, like when you step in the octagon?
Yeah, that's the tricky part, right? And that's something that takes years of experience. And man, I still don't even have it down to a full grasp. And I don't think you ever really do. You just learn how to manage it better. I think. I don't think it ever goes away. You know, the reminder is, and I learned this early on after my first pro loss, is like don't let fighting be your identity. We're much bigger than fighting. It's just something we do, and just life. You experience some life as you get older, and it kind of opens your eyes to that stuff. Like some health things will come up, some losses in life, and you realize there's a lot more to all this than fighting, right? So at the end of the day, like this is just a small window in our life, and win or lose, like the sun's gonna come up the next day, and you just got to keep trucking on, right? You get kind of stuck in that result, more so the loss because it's your whole world, right? But you forget everyone else's life is just going to keep moving the next day. They're not going to care about it. They're going to forget, and they're going to just go on with their lives and the things they have to worry about. But you feel stuck in it until your next performance, right? So it can be tough in that sense. But yeah, I always just tell myself, man, it's not going to be the best day of my life. It ain't going to be the worst day of my life. It's just another day, and it's on me to manage those feelings. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job of it. I don't let results affect my lead up to the fight as much. I just focus on the work I got to do outside of it, and the work I got to do in the fight. And normally, good things happen when I do that.
Awesome. And out of all the fights you've kind of had so far in your career, what would you say has been your favorite fight that you've been in?
Probably that one for sure. The PFL, just like it's the PFL. You know what I mean? It's right there with the UFC. It's a major promotion. It's my first time fighting a major promotion. ESPN. That kid's hometown, or not his hometown, but he was the home guy. He's an hour away from New Jersey and Philly. Um, yeah, man, that one for sure. I've had some, I won my Cage Titans belt over a UFC vet, knocked him out in the first round. That was cool. But just as far as like checkpoints, like, you know, I- I'm I'm sharing locker rooms with guys like Habib at this last camp, and like just where I feel like I belong. You know what I mean? So I think by far this is the most meaningful win I've had in my career.
And are you thinking about like, are you staying in the PFL or are you going to like another promotion? Do you know yet like what your plan is?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've been getting that a lot, and it's hard to answer everyone because it's kind of complicated. That was we made sure it was a one fight deal. That's what we wanted, right? The UFC is my ultimate goal, and we're kind of in conversation with them right now over certain things. I don't want to get too into it, but the door is open to fight again with the PFL for sure. And like, if I do, it would be like kind of what I just did, these one off showcase fights. I'm certainly done fighting in New England regionally. You know, if one of these big shows came to New England, I'm there. But that's definitely done. Um, so yeah, UFC, PFL. We'll see what else is out there, but I definitely could fight in that cage again. But it's definitely I'm looking to stay in these big promotions for sure.
And how do you kind of see yourself making it to the UFC?
Keep doing what I'm doing. You know, that's what they like. 10-2, have 8 knockouts, a submission. You know, 9 finishes in my 10 wins. I'm on a 4-fight first round knockout streak. I know Sean Shelby likes that a lot. I know he likes me a lot, and yeah, just keep doing what I'm doing, man. And I think I get one of those short notice calls up, and hopefully just do what I just did.
Perfect. And I've had a decent amount of people on here when it comes to like the weight cuts. I
Hmm.
know you said you used to wrestle. Are weight cuts still like a challenge? I know it's always a challenge, but do you kind of have a process as well that you go through every time you have to weight cut?
Yeah, I used to cut weight like an idiot when I was wrestling in high school and college. You know, I wasn't super educated on it. I work with this woman, Paulina Ndara, right now. She's like the best. She works with a ton of UFC fighters. She works with like Terrence Crawford for boxers and stuff. And she's got it down to a science, which means I got it down to a science. You know, I just do whatever she tells me to do. I feel great now during my weight cuts. I'm eating a lot more than people would think. And yeah, I mean, it's never easy, right? It always is uncomfortable and it sucks, but um, it's easy in the sense of like I never really doubt if I'm gonna make it, and I feel great every time. So yeah, shout out to her and Hard Body Meals, my meal prep company. She pretty much tells me like what I need to eat from them. They do all my portions for me. They send me my meals, and that's in camp and out of camp. So yeah, it's pretty easy for me, man. I got a good system down, and I walk around between like 65 and 70, and I come into fight week around like 54, 55, and I get down pretty easy.
And I know you spent a lot of time in the New England Cartel little gym they have. Have you gone down to Connor Matthews' basement yet? I know I've been down there a couple times. Have you had the chance to go down there and train with him?
I have not. It's pretty far from where I am. It's about like 2 hours and some change. Um, and he's up here a lot, but I've heard a lot of good things. I know he's got some guys down there training, but I see a lot of those same guys at my gym. I want to go down just to spend time with him maybe and hang out. We've been talking about that. Just getting down there and seeing it, supporting him and maybe should even teaching like a little seminar down there or something. So we'll see. I'll try and get down there probably this summer, but I've heard it's a pretty cool spot. Looks like his parents got a nice basement there. It looks pretty big, so I definitely want to go see it.
Yeah, I've taken a couple trips down there. It's also kind of far from me. He's kind of in that weird little area, but
Yeah.
um, what kind of advice would you maybe give to someone that wants to kind of get into the sport of fighting, whether it's jujitsu, boxing, anything like that?
Yeah, I'd say take the idea of fighting out of it. If fighting's your motivation to get into it, I think you're gonna burn out really fast. I'd say embrace being a martial artist, right? Let being a martial artist be your motivation. Learn to love that, and the fighting is a bonus. I tell people that every time they do private lessons with me, like enjoy every aspect of it. The jujitsu classes, kickboxing classes, boxing, all of it. Like just enjoy learning a new skill that you can pass down to others, and if you have kids someday you pass down to them. Like that's what this is all about, right? Self-improvement, bettering yourself, and the fighting is just a bonus to this whole thing. But if your fire and your why is just fight, 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 and you've never even trained yet, it's like, well, that goes a long ways away, and then it's a lot of pressure you put on yourself and you kind of burn out. So I'd say fall in love with being a martial artist and let the rest fall into place.
Perfect. And that's all the questions I have. But for everyone that
Yep.
comes on, I let them, kind of shout out anything, whether it's social medias, anything that they got going on. So I'll give you the floor to do that.
Cool. Yeah. Shout out my team, New England Cartel. My coach Tyson Chartier. He's done a ton for me since I was an amateur to now, and driving me around the Northeast so I can get these fights and making them happen for me. He manages me as well. My teammate Nick Fiore, he was out there in Atlantic City with me all week and letting me beat him up so I can be ready to fight. And Rob Font, my other corner, who drove out there just on Friday and back that same day just to corner me. These guys, I just got a ton of love for them and everything they do for me. My wife, my family, all of them, they all came out and saw me fight. And it's never a question of if, it's just where and when, and they're there. So shout out to them, all my sponsors. Yeah, man, just keep an eye out. Definitely got some healing up to do a little bit from that fight. My leg's a little dinged up, and I'm kind of on a couch rest here for in a couple weeks. But definitely keep your eyes peeled, and hopefully something big coming soon.
Perfect. And like I said, man, I love talking to the Massachusetts specific fighters. So I appreciate you coming on here. Um, for everyone watching, I'll throw his Instagram down in the description. Make sure to follow Over the Top Talk. We're on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, mainly on Instagram. But I'll leave all the social links down below. Make sure to like, sub, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you, everybody.